Hope you all are well today. This is an audition I did back in October for the Honor Band of America. I got in, I found out like a week ago. In this video, I'm just going to be reacting to my audition, maybe giving some critique, maybe some advice for you fellas. So part of the requirement was to do 2 major scales. The first one I chose just had a lot of flats and was one I already was prepping for Allstate. So I just used that one. That was this one, G flat major. It's pretty tough. Yo, I'm watching this back and there's a lot of echo in some of the recording. I just asked to ignore it. I tried to help it where I could, but at some points I talk over the recording, so you just hear the echo. Just wanted to say it's not your headphones, it's my fault. And then the second one here, I just used G major because it's also pretty easy, and I also kind of want to avoid the high range. Not avoid the high range, I guess showcase the low range, because that's mainly when you're auditioning for something on bass clarinet, that's mainly what they want. So yeah, those are my 2 scales. You only had to do 2 majors of your choice. They didn't specify a pattern, they just said 2 octave, so I chose to just do 8th note and then 16th notes, and then slurring on the way up and tonguing on the way down, because that kind of just hits everything they would possibly want, in my opinion. They may want something else, but I just did what I had. You can probably do whatever, honestly. I just wanted to cover all my bases. Yeah, and then I wanted a 2 octave chromatic, which is kind of low. I mean, we could probably do a 3 octave here, but you know what can you do? I started pretty low. I think I started on just low F. Something I wanted to avoid, although I do have a low C bass clarinet, a lot of people don't. If you just kind of use the low C on these things, it can sometimes come off as like showing off, and it's not even like you being good, it's just showing off your money, so never really a good idea to do that. Yeah, I mean, I just did it all slurred. I guess I could have done it tonguing on the way down, but just the way California Allstate does it is they also do it slurred, so I thought I'd just do that. So yeah, that's all the scales out of the way. That's kind of just boring stuff. Up ahead, we were able to select 2 etudes, 1 fast etude and 1 slow etude. I honestly didn't prep this audition too long, so I just picked stuff I already had learned before, because I only spent about a week really prepping for this audition, like, seriously. You should probably spend more time, but at any rate, I just wanted to use stuff I already knew so that I didn't have a big learning curve. This is my fast etude. I picked Rose etude number 9. I'm just gonna play it for a bit and then I'll talk about it. Yeah, that last note felt a bit out of tune. The rest are pretty good. Something for articulation here is just, the main challenge here is articulating, because even though it sounds pretty fast, all the notes are pretty easy to hit. I mean, it's all in F major scale, I'm pretty sure. So all the notes are pretty easy. That's why I picked this piece mainly, because even though it's like a fast, supposed to be technical excerpt, all the fingerings are pretty simple, but it sounds impressive. So yeah, let's go on. Yeah, so I guess on the end here, you can hear the ba ba da ba ba da ba ba da ba ba da ba ba. I didn't even know I articulated this in the recording until I listened back. Part of when you submit an audition like this, where you get to choose the excerpt, I kind of went in assuming that the judge wouldn't know what etude it is. They did, so you know, kind of awkward. But yeah, I felt like I could just add that because I did it confidently enough. I didn't stop or it didn't sound weird. So that's why I kept this recording. Everything up to this point has been fairly solid. In this run, if you look at my cursor, this high note didn't really come out completely, which is sort of just a mistake. And then also when starting some of these notes that are articulated, like especially this note, if you look at my cursor, this note and this note, the A, it kind of sounds harsh on the read. Something to fix that, or I guess for me, what I'm doing is just articulating really harshly, and something you have to work on is just imagining the kind of sound you want, just smoothly coming out, and then trying to play like that, just feeling like you're breathing into the instrument, and it should come out pretty okay. But obviously in this recording it didn't all go to plan. Yeah, and before we continue on, in the version I was using, the sheet music is different, but at this next bar, if I click my cursor, the tempo will go down like 20 beats. The thing is though, for this recording, I wanted to keep it all like pretty fast because it's supposed to be the technical excerpt. So I chose to take it pretty quick, probably quicker than I should have. But then again, I was just hoping the judge wouldn't know what etude I'm using. Yeah, and then there you can hear kind of a blip between the F and the A. It's probably the most egregious thing in this etude. The judge didn't comment on it, but it felt pretty bad when I played it. Listening to it back, it doesn't sound as noticeable, but when I played it, I was like, oh crap, should I stop recording? Thankfully, I went on, because everything before it was pretty solid. Something else is that on this A, the first one, it started kind of having a vibrato, which I didn't want. Something that I was just getting into when I recorded this, because I recorded this on, I think, October 1st, so it's quite a while ago. Something I was dealing with was a pressure vibrato, and that's just from biting. I'm not actually biting like very bad in this recording, but I'm still biting slightly, and it creates a vibrato. That was something they commented on, and I think I probably lost some points for that. It just sounds kind of bad. I'm still working on this, but eventually we will get there. We'll fix my little vibrato going on. Not sure about the dynamic contrast, but honestly, there's like a ton of transcriptions of Rose Etude number 9 with different dynamics, so I can kind of just do whatever I want on. Honestly, did not really like that bit. The F sharp to the G kind of holds out too long, and a few of these sound okay. And then articulating this G that I'm pointing at sounded really bad. It's similar to back up here when it was just, the articulation was just really harsh and noticeable. Just trying to make that smooth and legato is a really good thing to work on, and that just comes down to trying to breathe it in and trying to not even change how you. Okay, it should change how you make the articulation, but when you just think about making that sound and then trying to do it with your mouth and then just continuously trying that, you'll eventually get it, and then you'll learn how to make it without having to think of like, oh, I have to move this muscle here or whatever, because that's just too much to think about. And your body can naturally adjust to what you want, which is kind of odd, but it's also kind of cool. Yeah, and then there you could hear a bit of vibrato again. Never ideal. Yeah, and you can hear even more of the pressure vibrato just throughout here. Nothing too bad though. It's just that vibrato is very noticeable. Yeah, so that's the fast etude. I mean, the main things I point out are just harsh articulations and the vibrato. I think those are issues that, I mean, at the time, especially October, I was having a lot of issues with, and it's not like I'm gonna get a recording and fix my issues just instantly. But yeah, and then generally, I think musically wise, I could have done more. The thing that's hard about these sort of honor band auditions is that you're sort of graded on a rubric and you're not trying to be as artistic as possible. But I think I could have taken some more liberties, maybe played with the tempo on some of these runs a bit. There's just stuff to play with in these etudes that can kind of bring out your musical sense, and it probably helps you out. Well, when I do these honor bands, I don't really want to risk it, because to one judge it could sound artistic, and to one judge it could sound like an error, and then they'll mark you down. So the safest option is always just to not do any of it. If you're doing like an audition that's not graded on a rubric, you know, you should add some fun stuff. Like if you're doing a college audition, I definitely recommend, you know, adding some of your own artistic prowess into here, because everything here is just notes. Well, what's between the notes and what goes into the notes is up to the musician, right? The slow piece, I was actually gonna play the Swan, if you're familiar with. It's da 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 da. I practiced it for like 2 days and I couldn't really get the high notes well, especially because of the vibrato. It just sounded very bad. I ended up using the slow piece from my Allstate audition. At the time I was learning it. I'm just not, even now I'm just not a big fan of this piece. If you look at it, it's only 4 lines, but it's also 2 minutes somehow, and it kind of exposes my vibrato a lot. My vibrato, I mean. You might also notice I changed shirts from the last video, mainly because it's a different day. This shirt was from my day one recordings. I did one for everything, but I actually only used the slow piece because all the other recordings I got a better take of. You can also just sort of notice in my chin, if I go back to here, you can kind of tell if I'm biting. If you want to see if you're biting, you should do this, okay? If you frown, you can kind of feel your chin go up, and if you smile, you can kind of feel it go down. When you're biting, you're doing a lot of frowning, and your chin is biting down on the reed, and it's just harder for it to vibrate. And you want to try and smile, but it's kind of hard, especially at the beginning, because it makes the mouthpiece a lot more unstable, and you have to compensate with the corners of your mouth. But if you're just starting on it, they're not going to be very strong. So it's probably not going to go very well. That's why even now I'm having issues with biting, because even if I know the issue, it just takes developing those muscles over time to actually fully adjust for it. Something I could have done more of here is just in general, whenever you're playing, you want the high notes to be softer and the lower notes to be louder. That's just because when you play a lower note, it's going to be softer in general. So if you want to even out your tone and sound across all registers, you're going to want to make your low notes bigger and your higher notes softer. Especially in this section, it goes da 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 da, like it goes up an octave C. So I mean, in this recording you can kind of hear it, but I could have definitely made more of an impact if I made this lower C bigger and this higher C lower. This audition was actually due a month before the Allstate audition. So in my Allstate audition, I actually did more of that. But yeah, that's just a good tip. Just try and make the low notes bigger and the higher notes softer, and everything will sound more even across registers. So for trills, you can kind of just do whatever you want, depending on the piece. This is a piece in the Baroque times, and I won't get too into music history, but basically people just added whatever the hell they wanted to the pieces. So especially for trills, you could start on the higher note in the trill and then shift down. You could play the trill really fast or really slow. What it has here is it just plays a trill and then it goes down to F and then it articulates F. I kind of like how this is written out, so I kind of just went with it. I kind of sped up the trills I went on, I'm pretty sure, because I kind of am just into that, and I thought it sounded pretty cool, so I left it in. Something I should add is when I tried to articulate, especially this D and this A, you just want to be really soft when you come into those, because it's very easy, especially on bass clarinet, to just crack them when you're starting out. And even this F that's about to play, like right here, like it just sounds very clean because I worked on that. And what you can do is to just try and get that F out on your instrument and try and think about it sounding very smooth and very nice. And it actually works out. You can actually get it just by thinking about that. At least for me, it's kind of crazy how that works, but And here you can really hear the pressure vibrato coming out. Really, really gotta solve that. I honestly think my biting in this recording from the first day is a lot worse than the second day. But also, it's very obvious when you have a pressure vibrato if you're playing a slower piece like this. So it's very exposed in here. Yeah, and right there you can hear a very harsh articulation on that F. It's especially hard when you have a note right before it that's pretty low to get it nice. And even there, I didn't really do the thing where I play the higher note softer, which is something that I could have done that would probably make it sound better. And right there, the entrance was really harsh. Yeah, so I kind of slowed down there, I'm pretty sure. Kind of weird. Yeah, I mean, when you're doing something like this, you can play with the tempo, but especially in an audition, you gotta just stick to the tempo, man. They didn't comment on it on the feedback. You really should stick to the tempo. I mean, this is not. I mean, these sort of honor band auditions are not a very artistic pursuit. They're mainly trying to cross every dot and T and try and play everything accurately. So something like that you should really just try and avoid. Yeah, so that trill lasted way too long. I know there's a writ here, but definitely don't have a trill that long. Honestly, if it wasn't for the pressure vibrato, the articulation, and that trill right there, I probably could have submitted this for Allstate, and it would have been better than the audition I submitted. But at any rate, yeah. So if there's just a polka writ, just do it a little and don't do it a lot. Especially if you have a trill, it's very tempting to or if you have like grace notes, it's very tempting to draw them out and make them really obvious, but you really have to think about where you're aiming for. Like here, I should be aiming for this B, like getting off of the C sharp trill, instead of just staying on the C sharp trill for really just way too long in this recording. And then also just the articulation on this D is bad again. And this crescendo isn't really evident. In a lot of this piece, there's the quarter note tied to an eighth note, and for all of these, you just have to grow and grow and grow. Yeah, and down here, I didn't really do that because that just adds a lot more character to that. And also, I'm being very, very harsh. I'm not really commenting on the good stuff here. Basically, all the rhythms are pretty accurate besides where I hold it out, but that could be interpreted musically. I basically had 100% accuracy, whatever. Because I think a lot of the category for these is, or at least how I like to think of it, is there's three things that they really focus on, and it's the tone, it's the technique, and it's the musicality of it. So in both of these, the technique's pretty good. The tone's kind of questionable when it comes to the vibrato, and I think the articulation also adds to kind of a hurt tone. And then musically, especially in this excerpt, there's some like ideas that aren't like fully expressed. Like the fortes could be way bigger. The thing about this excerpt that you're looking at is the only two dynamics are mezzo forte and forte, besides this one like mezzo piano. So there's not much room written in, but an interpretation, like you're obviously gonna, especially even looking at just the first bar, you're gonna grow from this D to this A, and then you're kind of aiming for the C sharp, and then you kind of decay on the A. And this sort of pattern of da 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 da, where it just goes down, you sort of want to aim for the note right above the final note. And that's just something I generally try to do in here. That's like one idea, and then of course, like I said, just trying to make the bottom notes more obvious. And yeah, especially looking at the fast excerpt for that run, if I had crescendoed into this bottom B and then decrescendoed going up, I think it would have sounded a lot better. Basically, whenever you play a high note, it's gonna sound very loud. It's very hard to play quiet in a high register than it is to play quiet in a low register. And obviously that takes more support and all that, but it demonstrates control over the instrument if you're able to do that, and that can really help you in your audition. So yeah, I'm gonna leave the reviewer comments in the description. It really wasn't too much. Hopefully this video was helpful and helps you with your own auditions in the future. Thanks for watching.